It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for joining us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante, and you're watching us here in Hazleton on Channel 13. Remember, we're on HD in the Service Electric Cablevision now, Channel 513 if you're in the Service Electric Cablevision. And for all my friends in Scranton, Comcast 190, in Pottsville 190, and my friends in Wilkes-Barre on Channel 92 on Service Electric Cable. Today, folks, you're going to learn a lot about dyslexia. I happen to be here at the Children's Dyslexia Center of Susquehanna Valley in Bloomsburg. Now, just so you know, there's 9 of these centers throughout the state of Pennsylvania. What do they do? How important are they? And how can they help you? And we're going to get a lot of information today from the center director and also a tutor. We'll talk to a mom and some children, and also the board members. We'll put this together and let you know how very important this center is to the young people. Well, first of all, Cathy Clements, right? You're the center director, and Maxine, you're the tutor, right? All right, to start off with, what is dyslexia?
Dyslexia is a specific learning disability. Dys is a Greek prefix, and it means difficulty or trouble with. And lexia is a Greek root, which means words. So dyslexia means trouble with words. It's a specific learning disability. It's neurological in origin, and that means it affects the brain. It also affects characteristics of it would be difficulty with reading, spelling, handwriting. The handwriting is usually very poor. The children don't know which way the letters go when they're writing, so they spend so much time just trying to write their letters. And also it can affect math. These children have average to high levels of IQ. They just have trouble learning to read. It's also genetic, and which means it runs in families. So if you have a child that's dyslexic, somewhere in there, either the parents or grandparents, an aunt, an uncle are dyslexic. And I always tell people it's not a bad thing. You know, these are the children that are very, very smart. They think outside the box. They just need to be taught in a different way. And we teach to all the modalities of learning. We teach to the auditory learner, we teach to the visual learner, the kinesthetic tactile, which is your hands-on learner, all at the same time. And everything we do is very positive, very uplifting for the child, so we don't want them to ever feel like they can't do something or that they're stupid, because this is how they feel. Children know from very young on if there's something different about them. I have 7 grandchildren. 3 of them have been identified as dyslexic.
Oh. So it runs in your family?
Or the spouse's family.
Okay.
Okay. So my granddaughter was in kindergarten, her first day of school. She got on the bus. She went to school, came home. Second day, my daughter put her on the bus, and she jumped right back in her mother's arms, and she said, "I do not want to go to school. I'm different. I don't know what everybody else knows." And they know early on that something isn't right. They don't know the letters. They don't know what they say. They can't.
What do you mean by that? They don't know what the letters are. They don't know what they say.
The letters.
You mean what the letters say?
Right, what the letters say. So if you have the letter A says a, as an apple, or it can say the long sound of A, just the letter name itself. But these children, it takes them longer to learn. And even if they're a toddler, I always tell parents to watch your child. You know, if they're not talking at an early on age, if they're around 3 years old and they're starting to talk, that's a clear sign that there's probably a dyslexia there. They're very clumsy. My one grandson when he was a toddler, he was always falling and stumbling and tripping himself, and he didn't start talking till he was 3. So that's another indication that a child may have a learning disability, okay? And dyslexia does fall under the special education definition.
Now these young children, they're not slow, okay?
No.
Okay, it's just that they have this deficiency.
Right.
Okay.
It's just that the left hemisphere of the brain isn't functioning. It's not getting those sparks.
Is this a serious thing?
Only if you don't get remediation, because if they're not remediated, they're always going to be behind in school. And one thing the parents have to do is they have to be the advocate for their child. So if they know that there's something different about their child, even if it's in kindergarten, they need to put in writing to the school district that they would like a school psychological evaluation given to their child. The diagnosis that the school comes up with may be a reading or a learning disability in reading, that they are qualifying for special education services, but the schools will rarely ever diagnose dyslexia.
So am I correct in assuming that if there has been dyslexia in a family, okay, that you should pay close attention to your children, because there's a possibility they may have dyslexia? And you said what's the first telltale sign that you would see?
In a toddler, probably clumsiness and slow to talk.
Okay, so there's a test for this, right?
Not so much for that. They want to be aware and watch for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, is there a test if to find out whether that child has dyslexia?
At that young of an age?
Yeah.
I don't know of any unless you're a neurologist or a neuropsychologist, which there are around here. We have some very good neuropsychologists in the area. But when a child enters school, if they're not excelling in kindergarten and by the time they get through first grade, they are not able to read, there's an issue there. And that's when the parents need to put in writing and request from the school psychologist a school psychological evaluation.
You can't do that before the child goes to school?
No.
Okay.
No.
So so the only way you can identify it and get something treatable for it would be when they enter school.
Right.
Okay.
And the problem there is, you got to realize the schools are not going to say this is dyslexia.
I understand.
Okay. And the second problem is that they don't have a remediation. Most schools don't have anything to remediate these children with, because what works for these children is an Orton-Gillingham methodology. And that's where we teach to the language triangle, which is the auditory learner, the visual learner, the hands-on learner, all at the same time.
And as we're talking, folks, you've been seeing some quotes and some pictures of people who had dyslexia. I know Jay Leno has dyslexia. Now, when you say you have it, do you ever get rid of it?
No.
It
you
stays
never
with
outgrow
you.
You'll
So
have it forever.
You have to learn how to cope with it, and then that's where the school comes in to learn how to cope with it. Now, speaking of working with them, Maxine Martin is a tutor here. Now, specifically, Maxine, what do you do?
Right now, I tutor 4 different students. We take them here at the center from first grade all the way through senior year in high school. It's a matter of, we work for 50 minutes to an hour with each lesson. And it's a process of lots of repetition. And everything is sequential. And we use card packs, we use sand trays, all kinds of different things, like Cathy said, to teach to their different modalities, what their strengths are, and we use these constantly. After a lesson, then I go home and I go over each lesson. Each lesson is individualized for this student, and then it's up to me to diagnose what needs to be worked on yet and practiced until they internalize it. And it takes lots and lots of repetition.
I'm sure. Are there any degrees in dyslexia where it's a mild or a serious?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you have a mild case of dyslexia, how do you treat this mild case?
They just will pick up a lot faster. They'll move faster.
So you're able to give them, tutoring them so as they can read, okay, and function, okay? So it's best, I would assume, that if a parent sees something, like you said, Cathy, best to get that child tested, okay, as soon as possible, Okay, that would be my question: is if you have a child who's 4 or 5 years old, not in school, and they're clumsy, etc. Is there any? There's no test for them. I mean,
Usually you want to wait till they're at least in first grade.
Okay.
Okay. Because there's different tests that they'll give, and the school psychological evaluation will give an IQ level, and all that's telling us is, can the child learn?
okay. So when you have a child comes here, now do they does the parent call here, or is it the student recommended by the school district or whatever to come here?
Usually the parents call.
Okay.
And they're looking for help.
Okay.
And we tell them, in order to come in here, they have to have a school psychological evaluation completed.
Okay.
Because I review that, and that's what tells me, is this methodology going to work? Okay, it's not a program, it's a methodology. And it is so effective. And I tell the parents, to relax, because once the child gets in here, within 3 months, they'll know what the lesson plan is like, they'll know how it works. And we usually have them reading within 3 months, don't we, Maxine? Usually, now they're all short vowels. Our whole first year is nothing but short vowels. And the reason for that is that we have to make sure that it goes from the short-term memory to the long-term memory, because 65% of all the words in the English language are short vowels.
Okay, so could you ever cure dyslexia? So what you're teaching them to do is to cope with dyslexia.
We're teaching them to read so that they can be independent learners.
So when a child who has, or anyone who has dyslexia, give me an example. What do they see if there's a sentence? Do they are the words reversed, or how?
Well, you hear that a lot, but they don't see words backwards. Einstein may have, but most children do not. They are looking at a word and they're trying to figure out what the letters are saying.
Now we come back, we're going to talk to some parents, their children, and then we'll talk to some board members. And as we were doing the show, you're going to see a phone number up there. You're going to see an address. You could certainly contribute. They're always looking to fundraiser. That's important to keep the school going. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you can watch all of our shows on ssptv.com. Everyone that we produce, and don't forget, in Service Electric Cablevision, we are now HD channel 513. And my email is sam@ssptv.com. Folks, I'm here at the Children's Dyslexic Center of Susquehanna Valley. It's an organization that treats students or young people who have dyslexia. Cathy Clements, who is the director here, told me that they train educators here. So if you're an educator and you'd like to become certified, certainly give a call. The phone number is on the screen. Excuse me. Now I thought we would have talked to a couple of parents, and some of the students who come here. I'm joined here with Adam, who is a ripe old age of 12 years old, and Kim, who is his mom. First of all, let me start with you, Kim. Okay, how did you know Adam was dyslexic?
Actually, for us, it started, Adam was always a very smart toddler, and he didn't have the clumsiness or the delay in talking, but when we got to preschool, they started teaching the kids their phone numbers. He could not learn his phone number. He kept reversing the numbers. He just, no matter how many times we practiced it with him, we made up rhymes, and we did everything, and he just could not remember it. And then he started, when he would start writing, his writing was atrocious. He didn't know how to hold a pencil correctly. We had to give him training on how to do that. He was more of a traditional, what people expect. He did reverse B's and D's and Q's and P's. And we kept asking the teachers at school. At that point, we were in a private school, and I have a background as a reading specialist, and we kept saying, something's not right. He would look at the first letter of a word and just guess. He could not sound words out. And they kept saying, oh, he's not dyslexic, he's not dyslexic. And when we left private school to go to public school, I pushed to have him tested. And halfway through the test, the psychologist that was giving him the test just started shaking his head.
What grade was he in?
He was going into 4th grade.
Wow, so
he was way behind. He was starting to hate school because he felt like the dumb kid in the back of the room.
Now, is there dyslexia in your family?
My ex-husband and several of his brothers and sisters are dyslexic.
And so now, Adam, how do you like coming here?
I love it.
Yeah. Well, how you doing in school?
A lot better.
And how many years you say he was
This is his third year. He's on Distinguished Honor Roll now. When he started here, he was almost 3 years behind in his reading level. Now he's exactly where he's supposed to be.
So you're reading better?
Yeah.
You're not frustrated anymore?
Nope.
Okay. What is the biggest thing that you learned coming here? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot.
Especially like helping with reading, with all like the sounds and tricks and rules to spell and read.
So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I have another mom and another son here to talk about their experiences. Okay, now we have Mom, Tammy, and we have another student here, Stanley, who is also 12 years old. And Tammy, thanks for coming on the show. How did you know that Stanley was dyslexic?
Stanley, at a very young age, was clumsy as well, and he also
When you say clumsy, falling over things?
Yeah, just tripping a lot, more so than another toddler that he would be around with. Also, Stanley was very late to talk. And he went to school happy to go at kindergarten, and we were told he was an early reader, but in first grade, that wasn't the case.
But you saw problems in the first grade, okay?
And we saw problems early on.
Early on.
Yes, and we were told that, we brought up that we thought he might be dyslexic, and we were told no, there was no possibility. So Stanley had been tested. Actually, he went through 3 types of different testing, neurological testings at different doctors, and they all came back that he had dyslexia, that he was dyslexic.
Now, there's dyslexia in your family?
Nobody diagnosed, but I do believe I am dyslexic.
Oh, is that right? Yes. Yeah. Well, how did you go through school?
I struggled.
Was it?
Yes.
So Stanley, when you started here, okay, how did you feel about coming here? Were you frustrated?
Yeah.
When you started here, did you how many years are you coming here now?
This is his third.
Third year? Okay. So did it help you at school?
Yeah.
Where did it help you?
Like reading, like social studies and stuff like that, with reading in them.
So your marks, how about your marks? Are they average?
Yeah.
Is he doing well in school?
He's doing much better now.
That's good. It's amazing that, you know, when you said you could address it the first year, okay? All right, so coming here, okay, to the Children's Dyslexia Center in the Susquehanna Valley, how did this school help your son?
Helped him with his reading, giving him confidence that he can do this work. Because that's one thing that Stanley did lack, is the confidence, because he didn't feel like he was smart enough to do the work at school. And now he's able to have the confidence to get through. At the end of the day, he's tired, though. If
you don't have the confidence, you've lost it. Do you play any sports?
Well, I sort of play karate, which is sort of a sport.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a pretty good. Keeps you in good shape. Keeps your mind straight too. Yeah. What's your favorite subject?
Science.
Science. So you're gonna be an Einstein, huh? He was dyslexic, from what they tell me. I didn't know that, you know. Well, I wish you the best, okay? And it's great that you have a school like this. As I was telling Kim, the parents could come here. But if once again, folks, if you're having trouble at home with your child, I highly recommend you get them tested. And of course, if you would like to call and you have some concerns about your children, and you want to know a little bit more about this, the phone number is on the screen. Call them, and I'm sure Cathy or one of the tutors will be more than happy to talk some things through and then help you out a lot. Once again, I wish you the best, Tammy and Stanley. Thanks for coming on the show. Okay, we come back, folks. We're going to talk to some board members. These are the people that make all these things happen. And isn't it great that we have organizations like this to help a lot of people out? And that's all they're all about, just helping people, which I think is fabulous. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Here at the Children's Dyslexic Center, Susquehanna Valley, here in Bloomsburg. And joining me now is the board chairman from this center, and also we have the board chairman for the Center of Allentown. Paul Reichart, no stranger if you go to the Bloomsburg Fair, folks. You see him all over the place. He's the president, and you guys do a great job down there. Who doesn't love the fair? Okay,
I know you're doing. And we got a spot for you this year.
Terrific. Now, Paul, this center right here, as a board chairman, what does the board do? And as you told me, this is run by the Scottish Rite Masonry.
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me what you guys do.
Well, what we do, we have a monthly board meeting, and we have Cathy there giving her report. And a lot of our major items that we discussed is fundraising, because our budget this year is $120,000. And we do get some support from the Lexington, our home base, about $40,000. So we have to pick up the rest of that. Whether it's selling apple dumplings, which Bissinger's have been very, very cooperative. We have bingos. We have this, all kind of functions. We also ask for donations from the parents, because it takes a lot of money to operate this. Now the organization at the Masons here, or the Scottish Rite, donates the room, takes care of the heat and all that. So it's another charity. We just had a fundraiser the other week with a talent show here, and it went very well. And we raised $1,200 for the center for that particular session. So it's an ongoing effort to raise money. And we do have what they call a sponsor child, which it costs about $5,000 per child. And we try to get a few people to support that. And my good friend Benny has raised several thousand for us, although he does belong to the Allentown group.
Your board, it's an active board, isn't it?
We have a very active board. Right now we have 6 members. And we have, from the Hazleton, and most of them are local here, because normally the board meetings last maybe an hour, maybe a little bit longer.
When you look at the rewards that you get, I mean, it's just like priceless,
It is, and when we get an opportunity to visit with the parents or the students and see the success, what comes out of here, it's unbelievable, and it turns their life right around.
Yes, yeah.
Because that's the most important thing, and it's a big charity from all the way from Lexington, Massachusetts, that supports us.
That's fabulous. Now, Benny, you're the chairman down there in Allentown, right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell me, the same operation?
We're a little larger. Our budget is about $125,000 a year. We do have a board restricted fund coming out of Lexington. That doesn't quite get it. We still have to earn about $50,000 per year. One of the things we coupled up with the Philadelphia Center in a chef's gala down at the Valley Forge Casino, and that's coming off in April the 7th of this year. We also have I call it a meet, greet, and eat. We're bringing in people from the Lehigh Valley. We got a list of 200 names we're going to be sending out invitations to. We're going to bring them in and do a program similar to what you're doing here.
Terrific.
And it's a lot of work, but I have a grandson who's dyslexic, and
wow.
a lot of your people you find on the board or in the program has contact with somebody who is dyslexic. We're in our 19th year. We were the first one in the Commonwealth. It's a grind to keep it in place, but the people who are involved are very dedicated. It's a passion with them to help these children.
You said that you have to have a passion for this, okay? Yes. Because there's no question. A lot of time the board members, donate. But here again, when you're saying, as Paul said, and you see the success of these young people, it's very gratifying. I could tell you, I mean, knowing you guys, what you do, and your organization, it just like, for example, I know it's not the Shriners, but you are in Shriners. That organization itself has helped countless people through hospital, etc. Just a lot of great things happening, and I think it's to be applauded. And folks, you can certainly contribute, donate. They're out there working, struggling to make young people feel good about themselves. Congratulations to the both of you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's my honor to be here today. We have another board member I want to talk to about, and he'll tell you what he does. Floyd Roby, folks, is a gentleman, is also on the board, and Floyd is the one that contacted me about this fabulous organization. And it took a little while to get it together, Floyd, but we finally did it, right?
We're patient. We're patient.
Well, we were going HD, and I wanted to make sure you got the best here. Floyd, your participation, I mean, you've been a strong supporter of this organization and the Shriners as well. What's your input here?
I was brought in by Brother Ben Heater to help work on the promotional aspects of our Bloomsburg school. And this is basically what my job is. I'm currently working with Dr. Butler, Craig Butler at the district. We're going to try and get, if we possibly can, a pilot program eventually set up in the Hazelton Area School District. And then I'm going to be talking to, I can't think of his name, the director of the services for children up in Bloomsburg, or in Bloomsburg, up in Wilkes-Barre. So between Hazelton and Wilkes-Barre, this is what I'm currently working on right now. So Dr. Butler and I are in communication.
I'm positive there are a lot more people, students that have dyslexia that haven't been diagnosed, okay, that are in school, and that's where I'm hoping that maybe from the show, if you see that your child's not doing that well or whatever, some of the things that Cathy talked about, you'd give them a call here. Floyd, you're always doing a great job, and you can bother me anytime you want.
I will.
I know you will. Floyd, Roby, folks, believe me, all of the people I met here on when I spoke at the Shriners and the people here, the Scottish Rite Masonry, the fabulous people, do a lot good for the entire area. 9 centers like this in the state of Pennsylvania. Remember, 24/7, you can watch this show anywhere in the world on ssptv.com. I'm Sam Lesante. We'll see you next time.